Hi everybody, Dr. Zach here. Hey, just when you thought it was safe to go about living again, we've got another emergency disaster situation that has been declared here in Colorado. Saw in the paper this morning, actually this is in the Epoch Times, and it tells us Colorado governor declares disaster emergency over the bird flu outbreak. They've warned us about this. They've been setting us up for this. We've been made aware of it, right? We know that this is going to be coming down the pike, and we need to be afraid. We need to be very afraid. Kind of like this back in, 2019, a few years ago, this crazy novel coronavirus coming out of China that was going to have this impact, and we need to be very afraid of it. And we were very afraid of it. We embraced every aspect of fear that they told us to. Well, guess what? It's an election year, and so we've got the next pandemic that's coming along. This time it's the bird flu. And so Governor Jared Polis issued an emergency disaster declaration in his state, that's our state, Colorado, over this highly pathogenic bird flu. And it said in there that there was 1.8 million chickens that were impacted by this virus. It doesn't say infected, it says impacted. Not sure what that means. It'd be nice if we had a little bit of clarity on that. But here's what this declaration does. It says this declaration means that Colorado, or our government, can use its emergency powers to take all necessary and appropriate state actions to assist with response, recovery, and mitigation efforts. All necessary and appropriate, according to them, not according to reality, but according to what their experts tell them that they need to do. So we're looking at probably the same kind of expert advice that we got with the last election year pandemic. Goes on to say the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment issued a statement on July 3rd saying that there was a guy that was actually infected with this H5N1 bird flu. And he was a dairy farm worker, contracted it actually from coming in contact with a cow that had been infected. So we got to keep our cows and our chickens apart. We got to actually probably take care of these 1.8 million chickens and eliminate those so that we can clear ourselves from having any fear from them. By the way, it spreads to cows. We probably ought to get rid of those too. The good news is that the government already has plans for us to eat bugs, and they're going to work on making those available to everybody so we can enjoy those as we lose all of our rights and everything else that we own. With that said, that this farm worker who contracted this highly pathogenic bird flu from this cow, his only symptom was conjunctivitis. He got pink eye. It goes on to say he has recovered. Whew. Good news. This highly pathogenic, highly deadly bird flu that now we're in this emergency situation about that causes pink eye, this guy recovered. And I want to point out just this one simple observation. They haven't released the official vaccine for this yet. It says they're still kind of working on it. So while they're working on it, we need to take appropriate actions to protect ourselves. And since it does affect the eyes, now they're recommending, in addition to this N95 mask that we're supposed to dig back out and start wearing again and staying away from each other so that we don't spread it from person to person, which it doesn't do anyway, now we need to wear goggles to protect our eyes from this. This is true. This is what the experts are really recommending. I'm not making this up, even though it's probably goofier than anything that I could make up. But with this, his body's immune system recognized that, hey, there was some kind of infection in the eye, didn't care what it was called, didn't care that there's a patent on it, didn't care that somebody else owns the vaccine rights to come up and treat this thing. He violated all of the holiness of that and actually healed it on his own. Because that's what we're created to do. When we get exposed to germs, our body's immune system takes and protects us. So with that is that there is an emergency situation going on. And if we embrace that, if we listen to them, if we follow their guidelines, they own us just like they did last time. But let me encourage you to remember the outcome of that. Remember the lives that were damaged by the treatment, by the recommendations, by the mandates. Remember the churches that were shut down, the businesses that were closed, the people who lost licenses to practice their profession. Remember these things. And as Polis comes along again with his mighty pen and says, these are the mandates you need to follow, let me encourage you to, in a nice way, in a respectful way, say, no, not this time. Thanks anyway. we're going to go about living with confidence, living with trust, living with optimism, without fear. Recognize that. We're not in an emergency situation because greater is the power that's in us than the power that's in a bird flu. Make today a great one.